This is what it looks like when a state attorney general gets famous. At least this is one way to be famous as a state attorney general. What you are looking at here are protesters at Virginia's George Mason University. They are protesting their state attorney general, Ken Cuccinelli, who was speaking at an event at George Mason inside. When Virginia's new governor, Bob McDonnell, was elected in November, the Republican Party treated him as their hope for the party's future, a candidate with instant national stature, someone who they said maybe could appeal to moderates. Not apparently because of anything he did or stood for, but I guess because he looks very moderate or something. Since taking office in January, Governor McDonnell and his Attorney General, Mr. Cuccinelli, have worked hand in hand to drag Virginia back out of the 21st century. Between them, they have rolled back protections against discrimination against state workers. The Attorney General has tried to force public colleges and universities in the state to drop their own anti-discrimination policies. Then they made sure that same-sex partners of state workers could not get health benefits in Virginia. And now they are teaming up to kill health reform for the rest of Virginians. Mr. Cuccinelli, at least, seems to be really intent on getting famous for these activities. Beyond the lawsuit filed by 13 other state attorneys general over federal health reform, Mr. Cuccinelli in Virginia has decided to file his own lawsuit, for which he has sought and received lots and lots and lots of press attention. And he's doing this with the full backing of, guess who, his partner in turning back time, Governor Bob McDonnell. The relationship between a governor and an attorney general in a state is sometimes funny, sometimes prickly, sometimes fascinating. It is fascinating in the case of the relationship between Pennsylvania Governor Ed Rendell and his state's attorney general, Tom Corbett. Get this. Mr. Corbett, the Pennsylvania attorney general, today signed Pennsylvania on to that multi-state lawsuit against health reform, even though the governor of Pennsylvania, Mr. Rendell, is totally opposed to what Mr. Corbett is doing. Must make for interesting cabinet meetings. Joining us now is Pennsylvania Governor Ed Rendell. Governor Rendell, it's nice to see you. Thanks for your time.
Hi, Rachel. I was listening to your story, and I happened to be on another network as the vote was being taken. And when I got off the network, the governor's residence in Harrisburg was bombarded with calls attacking me for supporting the health care bill, bitching because I was smiling as the bill passed, and suggesting that I performed some obscene acts on myself and on others. It was a very, the trooper on duty had a very interesting night. But it's pretty shocking what's going on. And Tom Corbett is independently elected. And let me start out by saying, I like Tom Corbett. We've had a pretty good working relationship. He's a good lawyer, and he's too good a lawyer to have filed this suit, because any good lawyer knows that the federal supremacy clause dominates here. We don't have separate passports. Each state doesn't have a separate passport. Each state doesn't have separate immigration laws. There are some things that the federal government has the absolute power to do. This is one of them. So this is a total waste of taxpayers' money. It's totally done for political purposes. And as I said, Tom Corbett is too good a lawyer to have joined this suit.
When you say that he's doing it for political purposes, I know that Mr. Corbett is running for the Republican nomination for governor. Is he not? Do you think this is about his primary fight to try to run for governor?
Well, he doesn't really have a major primary opponent. There's a very active state representative running against him, but he has no money. Tom is a slam dunk to be the Republican nominee, and frankly, at this stage, probably the favorite to become the next governor. But he's always been a fairly moderate person in his approach to things, and again, he's too good a lawyer to file this suit. And I will tell you that I think this tactic that the Republicans are taking, filing the suits, people promising, former Congressman Toomey came out today and said he vowed to repeal the Health Care Reform Act. As you said, I think last night, they'd have to pick up 113 seats to have the power to reform to repeal the Health Care Reform Act, to be veto-proof. It's not going to happen. They're looking, I think, mean-spirited and irrational. Do they really want to reform the rule that says that you cannot be denied health care if you have a pre-existing condition? Do they want to take that back? Do they want to repeal that? Do they want to repeal the rule that says your health care company can't drop you if you become sick? I think the Republicans should think again about this strategy, because I think this is a strategy that could turn what looks like a good year for them into a pretty bad year.
I wonder what you think about the specific the specific thing you've identified there, which is the futility of this. It's nobody really, I think, seriously thinks that any of these lawsuits, either the one in Virginia or the one that your Attorney General in Pennsylvania has joined, nobody thinks these suits are really going to go anywhere. It seems sort of like an open and shut constitutional case. They do seem like they're just for show. Same with the repeal. Even if repeal was wildly popular, it's just not going to happen numerically. These are futile cases that they're making. And so in the political calculus there, why do you run on something like this that you know you're never going to achieve?
Because it feeds the base. And as far as the lawsuits are concerned, I wouldn't care very much about the lawsuits because they are futile, except they waste taxpayers' dollars. And there are petition drives, like you said, in Virginia. There's a petition drive in Pennsylvania, people who are signing a petition to urge Attorney General Corbett not to go forward with this futile suit and not to waste taxpayers' dollars. And I hope he listens. As I said, Tom Corbett is a very decent guy. He's been a moderate before. He doesn't need to do this to win the primary. He's pretty home free. But I think the Republicans are making a big mistake. I think the mean-spiritedness, I happen to be on the air and I listened to every minute of the Boehner speech and the Pelosi speech, and that mean-spiritedness, the American people don't like that. They don't like that. Even if they agree with you substantively, they don't want mean-spiritedness in politics. They don't want extremism in terms of the way you express yourself. I think it's going to backfire dramatically. And in a sad way, it's the best thing that ever happened to the Democratic Party. But it's a sad commentary on the state of politics in the country.
Governor, did you lobby, did you call members of Congress and try to encourage them to vote for this? In pure political terms, not in terms of the policy, but how do you make the political argument to members of Congress when you know in some cases this is going to be a difficult vote for them?
Well, I said basically two things, Rachel. Number one, I said, look, I'm going to support you whatever you do. You know, I know this is a difficult decision for you. My support is not contingent upon your voting one way or the other. But I said, number one, this is good policy. And as people understand what's in this act, it's going to become more and more popular between now and November. And number two, hey, all of us, and I'm an elected official, and I've lost 2 elections, all of us got elected to do something. And if we're going to lose, let's lose doing something that's going to change the fate of 32 million Americans. There are some things that are worth risking losing about. And that's why we're here, to do something, to change people's lives, to protect the most vulnerable citizens, to give people opportunity. So go ahead, don't be afraid. If you lose, you're losing for the best of all possible reasons.
Pennsylvania Governor Ed Rendell, thank you for your time tonight, sir. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Rachel.
Thanks.